All right, last thing I want to touch on, and shout out to all 68 of you here. The last thing I wanted to touch on, because this was ridiculous. So obviously, Devin Haney had a lot to say about Shakur Stevenson after the fight, and rightfully so. Devin Haney should definitely be running his mouth, and every lightweight in the world should be running their mouth, because it wasn't a great performance. That is what it is. That being said, Jared Anderson and Shakur Stevenson are friends. They both have James Prince as their manager, right? So Devin said, stop that scare narrative. Nobody was even scared of that bum. He wanted clout. They all use my name for. That's all they use my name for. So then Jared Anderson, he got on his high horse and he started getting tough with Devin Haney. He said, and I quote, "Say the same shit when we catch you out. You couldn't even make eye contact when you seen us." So he's obviously sticking up for his friend. He's obviously telling him that in his own words that Devin was acting kind of soft. Well, I guess whenever and wherever they saw him, and it's kind of corny, because Jared Anderson should be worried about fighting, Martin Bakoli or Arslanbek Makhmudov or his Efe Jagba or just some contender. He should be worried about becoming the next American heavyweight champion and validating all this ridiculous hype that Top Rank has thrusted upon him, right? And all these ridiculous comparisons he's getting to fighters like Riddick Bowe, which, by the way, that comparison will always piss me off, because Jared Anderson is not as good as Riddick Bowe was at that age. That's just my honest to God opinion. But he's a talented heavyweight. Jared Anderson also was going back and forth with Bill Haney. Now, I don't know if you guys can see what's on the screen, the conversation, but I'll read it to you guys. So basically, Jared Anderson, the beginning of the conversation says, "I never did, but continue doing it. I win either way." And then Bill Haney says, "All good, youngster." And then he says, You're mad because your son is a bitch and can't fuck with Shakur. Let's keep it a bean." And then Bill says, "My son is rich and a boss." And then Jared says he is 100% a boss and rich, but he can't be Shakur. All three are facts. And then Bill, with a very mature response, says, "I know you would have took that offer, champ. Big things in your future. Keep going. Make smart moves in life, big fella. I'm cheering for you against everybody but my family." And then Jared says that's the realest shit I've heard you say. So Jared's out here going back and forth with Bill Haney, going at Devin, and it's like, man, like Jared Anderson's making it like hard to not, like, I don't want to criticize. I don't want to be that guy, because at the end of the day, like, who am I in the grand scheme of things? I'm just a kid from Dania, kid from South Florida, a young man from South Florida with a flamingo painting on his wall that loves boxing. But Jared Anderson, like Larry Lopez says, Jared Anderson sounds like a straight clown, and it ain't the first time he sounded like a clown. You guys. I never made a video about this, so I'm probably gonna clip this out, because I never made a video about it. I let it slide, but I can't let it slide because it ties into what I'm saying. You're supposed to be worried about being the next heavyweight champion of the world, or trying to be the next heavyweight champion in the world, and you over here picking fights with lightweights. Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney is not business that pertains to you, so you gotta mind the business that pays you, champ. Remember when he said this? He said, I don't feel like I have to be world champion. Who says shit like this? He said this back on September 7th, just so you guys know. And I didn't make a video about it. I let it slide. I said literally nothing about it. But he said, and I quote, "I don't feel like I need to be undisputed champion, and I don't feel like I need to be a world champion." He then went on by saying that his retirement target date is 27 years old, which I ain't mad at. And he says by that time he figures he'll be overflowing with life-changing money, and he's gonna have himself set up for good after boxing. And then he said, he ended the article by saying, I quote, "I don't need validation. I know who I am." Now, he keeps saying this. He keeps saying, now look, be confident. Don't seek outside approval of people. But Jared Anderson he might need a lesson on like the business of boxing. He might, because the reality is this, especially heavyweight boxing, you don't even make money until you start fighting for titles or get to that world title level. So what you gonna do? You gonna fight the number 15 guy and just expect Top Rank to shell out money and overpay you for the rest of your career? That's not how it's gonna happen. It's not gonna go down like that. So he's gonna have to fight for heavyweight championships one day if he wants to make the kind of money that he's fantasizing about and talking about. That's just the honest truth about Big Baby Anderson. And truth be told, I don't even want to call him Big Baby Anderson because really he never even proved himself to be the real Big Baby Anderson because he never fought Jarrell Miller, the real Big Baby. So until he fights Jarrell Miller, I don't want to hear nothing about him being Big Baby. He's just Jared. You know, he's just Jared. So I don't get it. I don't know who's in his ears. I don't know like who's influencing him to say this bullshit, but he's got to do better. You know, stop worrying about Devin Haney. Stop worrying about what they got going on. And you need to worry about fighting Otto Wallin. You got to worry about fighting, you know, trying to get a Philip Hrgovic fight, you know, get an Arslanbek Makhmudov fight or Efe Jagba or someone, because, you know, the reality is this. There's a lot of question marks about Jared Anderson. The only guy he's really fought with any semblance of credibility in the sport has been Charles Martin. And I remember watching that fight, and Charles Martin put him on Queer Street. So, again, I don't have no hatred for Jared Anderson, none of these fighters. You know, I love life. I love people. And you know, I don't hate the guy, but he's on some bullshit. He's absolutely on some bullshit. And I'm calling it out. I'm calling it out for what it is. Because Jared Anderson, I understand there's a lot of pressure on the shoulders. And it goes back, you know what, hold on. Let's go back to the original main idea of this video. Shout out to Punch Drunk Boxing in the chat. I see you. But to go back to the main idea of this video, this was quoted to Jared Anderson. So, you know, I'm gonna you know, become Pastor True School, Pastor BT here for a second. I'm gonna you know, ask to pass the collection plate around, and I'm gonna start off with the original main idea of this live, which was what I told you, Corey Stevenson. This was also quoted to Jared Anderson from none other than Roy Jones himself. Hold on, this ad blocker bullshit. Hold on, man. Luke 12:48. It was quoted to Jared Anderson from Roy Jones himself. I'll highlight it for you. Let's read it again, ladies and gentlemen. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall much be required. To whom men have committed much, of him they will ask that much more. Listen, if God blesses you with talent, if he puts you in an advantageous position to make something of yourself in the world, to make money, to live out your dreams, to fulfill your God-given destiny, there's a lot that comes with that, okay? And you don't got time to be out here, you know, getting into lightweight business. You don't got time out here to be beefing with Devin Haney. You gotta worry about finding these contenders and showing the world who's Jared Anderson. Who is this amazing light heavyweight talent from Toledo, Ohio? Because, you know, I don't like calling fighters hype job because, again, who am I at the end of the day? But right now, the Jared Anderson hype ain't matching the talent, and he's got a lot more to prove in this sport. So I don't like seeing that from him, just being honest with you. And I hope that in due time he'll mature, not just inside the ring, not just outside the ring, but mentally as a person, because he's still acting like a kid, you know. So that's just my opinion. But nonetheless, I've said what I needed to say. Shout out to everyone here. It's the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Let me go to the comments. I know I saw I had a super chat. Where was the super chat at? Shout out to my main man, Cesar the $2 super chat. You know, he's loyal viewer of the channel. I always see him here showing love, showing that appreciation. So, yeah, shout out to you, Cesar. Hope all is well. Jared's dedication is in the question. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the main thing. He's got the talent, he's got the speed, he can switch hit. There's a lot of things he could do at that size that a lot of heavyweights wish they could do. But, you know, in this division, it's all about the mind. In the heavyweight division, it's all about the mind and the maturation of a heavyweight, and he's got a long way to go. So, you know, hopefully it works out.